Hello. Hopefully we're here. Welcome along, everyone. Hello, Peter. Nice to see you.
Vice versa.
Welcome along, everyone, to another UPY live Facebook broadcast. The aim of these sessions really is to help you enter the competition, give you a little bit of direct contact with us, and hopefully hear us speaking very candidly about the contest. What we plan to do with most of these now going forwards is to deal with the different categories within the competition and hopefully give you some insights on the sorts of pictures that have a good chance of doing well. Before all that, though, I would like to say, although it's just Peter and I here on screen, UPY is very much a team organization, and I haven't actually figured out the technology to get more than two of us on screen. But anyway, I do want to say a big thank you to the rest of the team, and although it's us two on screen, we're a bigger team than that. Martin Edge is our third judge. I'd love to have him along, but I don't know quite how to slice him into this conversation. And also a big thank you to the guys behind the scenes. Dan Bolt does a huge amount of work making the UPY function as a website, and also helps a great deal as well in the outputs after the competition in getting your name in lights around the place. And also Saeed Rashid, who's another massive contributor to making UPY function. You got anything to add? Any thanks to add to that, Peter? Have I missed anything out?
Yeah, no. I think that I have always likened it to a tripod. This particular tripod has 4 legs, but perhaps it's better as a ship in which Captain Alex, First Mate Peter, and in the engine room, there are Dan and Saeed, and without the engine, the ship stops. So I work with Dan a lot, mainly more after the event, putting the yearbook together and the international press, and his database
and the print display.
The print display also, yeah. It is the everything's in place, and in fact, when I email the international press, I get several replies saying the way you present this data and the results to us is just perfect, and that's Dan through and through.
I think the other thing actually, which is really valuable, is the feedback system that we introduced a couple of years ago, where every single entry gets a feedback of how it progressed through the rounds. And the engine room is absolutely essential in making that possible, in terms of
question.
Collecting that data and putting it back out to everyone. Right, let's get on with what everybody wants to hear about, and that is the big question we're always asked at this stage is, what pictures should I enter? What pictures have got the best chance of doing well? I'm not going to throw that hot potato straight to you, Peter. I think the first thing I would say on that is actually at this stage as judges, we really don't know what we want. I think it's important we always go into the judging not with any preconceived ideas on the types of pictures that we want to win. Obviously, we're on the lookout for amazing underwater pictures, and we really want to be surprised by the entries, to see pictures the like of which we've not seen before. Do you think that's a fair place to start, Peter?
Yeah, I think I would say that it's impossible to talk about the future, but we have facts in the past, and I'm particularly proud of the yearbook that we put together, and going right back to year 1. The yearbooks are still available online, and just an amazing reference of information, inspiration, and guidelines.
Yeah, I keep them on my computer all the time, and we quite regularly go through them of an evening on any of the underwater photography workshops I run, just because it's great to be reminded of really inspirational images when you're actually out there in the field shooting. It's not something just to look at in the run up to entering the competition. Actually, they're great. They're a really, really valuable resource. Just a quick message to anyone who's tuning in, listening. We are very happy to take questions as this session goes on. So please feel free to get in the comments, and we'll read out some questions at the end of all this. I think the other thing I'd say about the judging process is that we do try and approach it very rigorously. And two of the things we tend to do right at the beginning of judging is we read the category descriptions before we start each category. Although we wrote the category descriptions, actually it's been quite a while, maybe a year since we were last really thinking. We make sure we read those category descriptions before we start judging. And then we typically also look at the top 10, our winning pictures from the previous year, which reminds us of what we've had before, but it also is a great reminder of the standard that we're looking for. And that makes the judging a lot easier, I think from our point of view, is we see how good things are. I'd say the other thing that we do as well, I think is another thing, just when thinking about what to enter in UPY, we do have written in the rules a comment about the fact that we are looking for pictures that have a freshness to them. And we're certainly not ones to pick pictures that have been around the block. Anyone who follows the underwater photography world will be well aware that there are certain pictures you see winning competitions again and again and again. I think pictures that have been around the block like that for us tend not to do well. If they're amazing, we might place them, but they're not likely to rise to the very top. I would, for those that are worried about hiding their pictures away, I would say that we'd never penalize or really go against an image just because it's been on social media. You, Peter, you and Martin, not really, trolling Instagram every day, looking at, the pictures that are on there. So for entrants, I wouldn't worry about sharing your pictures on social media. We're more concerned about pictures that have been around the competition block when we're going for pictures. That said, I have to say that the first time you see certain pictures, they can have a real impact on you. So the less a picture has been seen, the better. And there's nothing better as a photographer to win big in a competition like UPY with a picture that none of your friends have even seen before. I think that's a great way to win. However, the nature of our judging process is we have many rounds, and I think with the winners we end up seeing them close to 20 times before we actually make a decision on whether they're a winner or not. So actually that initial impact of a picture that maybe we'd seen a few times on Instagram before the competition, that it's lost a bit of impact, actually by the time you've seen all the winners 20 times, you've lived with those pictures as a judge for a while. So I wouldn't worry about sharing stuff. Just, we're looking for pictures that haven't been around the block.
I think the other thing that we perhaps react to is techniques that are overused. Mm-hmm. And they're perhaps difficult to describe, but I'll use one of your shots, Alex, as an example, where you rotated the camera. Mm-hmm. and created the first time we saw it, that was wow, not so much how it was done, but that has created another image using that technique. The problem with the technique is once you've seen it, it's obvious. Mm. And when you see obvious pictures, the surprise has gone from them. So I'd be guilty of downgrading an established technique unless it really does beat what's been before.
Yeah. So perhaps the best advice is try not to be too much of a follower of fashion. If something is fashionable, chances are we've seen a lot of it in previous years, and we'll see a lot of it this year. Try and be unfashionable. Either dig out an old technique that maybe hasn't been around for a while, or ideally come up with something really fresh. And certainly a lot of our winners down the years tend to be the first time we see a technique. I think Mock's picture from last year, the winner of the black and white category and the front page of the yearbook, that's very much a technique shot. It's a beautiful image, but it's all about the double exposure technique that he used to overlay the coral reefscape over the silhouette of his wife. And that picture did particularly well because it was the first time we'd seen a shot like that done underwater, entered it in UPY, and it did really well. If someone did, a very similar version of that this year, I think it would really struggle to place just because it's so derivative of last year's winner. Okay, what I wanted to move on to now was to start to run through the first three categories of UPY and talk about those in a little bit of detail with some examples. So our first category is wide angle. We're definitely going to end up hidden away behind these, but that's probably to the benefit of the viewers. So I'll read this out. Wide angle is for wide angle images shot anywhere in the world. Rec photos are welcome, but you may well want to enter them in category 3, which is the dedicated Recs category. And this category is open to all photographers. So that's our category description. And I'm just going to hide that away. And we've each picked a picture out from the archives from this category. And this was your choice from the archives, Peter. Do you want to tell us, why this picture you felt was a winner in wide angle?
Yeah, it's.
You can actually move this to the side.
When you first see an image, it's got to be pretty unambiguous as to what you're looking at, why you're looking at it, and why it should hold your attention. And I think this is a great example on several levels. Obviously, the split is just fantastic. The subject is awesome. But for me, it's the little icing on the cake, which is the bird top left, which if that wasn't there, then this would become an ordinary shot rather than an extra shot. And ordinary shots are 10 a penny, unfortunately. So you just need that little bit of ding to make it through.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love how the claw of the first of all, it is an amazing subject to Komodo dragon in the water, but the claw balances so well with that bird. Okay, and then I chose rather boringly our overall winner, which was also the wide angle winner from last year's competition. I'll hide you for this one, Peter. This is Greg's overall winner. And for me, this is again an extraordinary location, species and vistas that very few of us have ever seen. Beautifully photographed, but for me, it's the rhythm of these multiple subjects in the picture. It's almost like a sequence of one animal moving through the frame, but an incredibly beautiful picture, and that's something we that really appealed to us. One thing I would say is I'd also encourage people not just to look at pictures as individuals, but look at the whole collections within the top tens, within the awarded pictures, because I do think we try and create a balance within those. And, if you have two similarly amazing pictures, we're unlikely to award both of them. We're looking to create some variation. So if you as a photographer have two or three very similar shots that you like very close to equally, try and enter just one, because ultimately they're going to fight against each other and they may pull each other down. Right, I'm going to move on to our next question.
I'd emphasize actually that don't leave us to make your choice for you. So in other words, if you think, well, I'll put 3 in and they'll choose the best, well, if you can't do it first, it's not going to go down well with us. We need your final choice.
Yeah, and you may think, I could try a few in different categories, and that can work, but the way we judge UPY is we do a little bit of each category. We do a pass on each category and then go round again and round again. So we will have seen your picture in another category, but before we get to making any decisions in the original category. Right, moving on to category 2, which is macro, and wide angle and macro are two of our most popular categories. And macro is for close up or macro images shot anywhere in the world. I think the thing to remember with such a popularity of super macro shooting is actually we allow close up images. They don't have to be tiny to do well in this category. And this is open to a wide range of pictures. I think our winner in this category a couple of years ago was the seahorse shot, and I think the backlit seahorses, and that's quite a wide viewing picture. And we do like seahorses in UPY. Right, Peter, here is your. Clicked the wrong button. Sorry, I knew this technology would get me. Here is your choice to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, this was runner-up, second place.
Yeah, second place last year.
And a completely different image to the winner. And it's sometimes it's just the little things that make a winning image become a runner-up image. And for me, on this particular one, the composition was just not quite bang. I personally think the camera tilted down just a little bit more to give it a bit more balance. The dark water doesn't really contribute. The subjects are just amazing and the image is amazing, but it just didn't quite have perfection.
Oh, I think it's an amazing shot. I still do. I still really love it. In fact, I wanted to show this one and talk about it today, but you nabbed it first. Right. No, but you can read my comment about it there. It's a fantastic image. Right. And here was the one I was going to talk about. And this was our winner of the macro category from the 2019 edition of UPY. And this picture here is very much a technique type shot. It is an amazing subject, and would be obviously a my backyard category contender as well these days. Taken close to where Fabio lives, I think. And this was one of the early black water, open water macro shots taken at night, creating this blur effect by panning the camera while lighting the subject both with flash and with torch. And this created a really original image. And I think since this picture was taken, there've been a lot of pictures using this technique. And this is very much, I think, going to that point you were making earlier, that we're very much, very excited the first time we see a particular technique. But maybe when it comes, if you have done shots like this since this picture, even if you took them before this picture was taken, but we go by when they're awarded in the competition. If you've done pictures like that since, they will not have the same resonance with the judges the first time we see them. Yet the first time we see something original and fresh, it can rise right to the top. So I think that's a great way to do well in the competition. Okay, I'm going to move on to our final category we want to talk about today, which is Rex, for wide angle to macro shots shot on Rex. I have to say we've awarded very few macro shots shot on Rex, but they are eligible in this category, and I think if someone does something really interesting with them, they can really stand out. The Rec can be the main subject or simply the setting for a marine life macro or diver photo. Again, typically it tends to be shots of wrecks that dominate, but those other pictures are eligible. So, do make sure you try and do something different. You can stand out with a really amazing shot taken on a wreck. Photos can be from anywhere in the world, open to all. Right, and here is your choice, Peter.
Yeah, I chose this one for probably three reasons. Since UPY restarted or was reformed, the rec category has come on leaps and bounds, and that's due mainly to the additional lighting that is available, new LED bright lights. But equipment is one thing. You employ that to improve images, and here we've got just a classic shot, which is totally unambiguous. You look at that picture, you know exactly what's going on, and it's then highlighted with the backlighting, which creates the sparkle. And it's a combination of several things, and those combinations keep looking at the image. Sometimes with an image you can tire of looking at it, but a strong image like this with many aspects to it keeps you looking without fading in your opinion of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Pekka Turi is one of our most awarded photographers in the competition, always places with lots and lots of pictures. Right, and my one, which is going to cover both of us because it's a panoramic shot, is Tobias's category winner of the Rex category from last year. And Tobias has won this category, I think, maybe 3 times now. He's a real master of this. And I think this picture goes exactly to the point you were making, that Rec photography now, I think, is perhaps the most artistically interesting area of underwater photography because of the lighting that photographers are bringing to that realm and the creativity. This picture being a panoramic picture, employing lots of off-camera lighting in a very difficult place to work. This is a very silty engine room on the Chrysula K wreck in the Red Sea. And it's not an easy place to swim into and set up a picture like this and keep it all clean. So this picture speaks to me on many levels of excellence, not just photographic, but also diving skills, planning, visualization, and innovation with, using a panoramic technique with off-camera lighting. Fantastic picture. But although the rec category is one of the smaller categories in terms of entries, I think it has some of the most amazing pictures in UPY. And it's one of the reasons I'm so proud that UPY is more than just a nature photography competition. It really celebrates all of that. Right, we've got a few comments, which I'm going to attempt to get up on screen. Here we go. I haven't read them yet. This is from Fabio Russo. Definitely UPY is one of my favourite contests due to the presence of judges like you. It must be you, Peter. He's talking you out. So thank you. Thank you for that. Please fire in any questions. We're happy to answer them. Can help you with your entries. All right. Next up, one of our team, Saeed. Great Komodo dragon image. Thanks, Saeed. Mero, Damien. UPY is an amazing effort by you guys, and every best for 2021. I think the individual feedback ratings used last year for all entrants was really helpful. Will that be done again? Yes, it will. And we were mentioning that at the beginning. That happens by a lot of hard work by Dan Bolt behind the scenes, and also me collecting that data as we're going through the competition. And actually all the judges in that, I do force the judges to do a couple of extra rounds, not to make big jumps when they're doing the judging. You know, we're trimming a few images each round, and that allows us to give you that feedback. The one thing I would say is that it's a measure of how your pictures have progressed through the competition. So sometimes, for example, if you have a picture of a common subject, it might fall early on because we might decide to play off those common subjects against each other. It's not an absolute measure of how good your picture is, but it is very valuable feedback. Right, and we've got another comment. Oh, and just Saeed as well, enjoying the macro picture of the shrimp. See if I can bring them back up. There's Saeed's gang shrimp, which is an incredible scene. Right, I think that's brought us to the end of this one. The technology has obviously worked. We've got some comments in, and Peter and I will be back in a couple of days' time to deal with categories, the other categories in the international part of the competition, I think. So thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye everyone.